I want to spend some time in the time that we have left here. I want to spend some time talking about the outsourced manufacturing environment and relationships with outsourced manufacturers. And this is one of the reasons I'm super happy that Lena came swooping in late in the game and agreed to be on our panel, because she brings that perspective. But, you know, part of my interest in this part of the conversation comes from a conversation I had with Meinhard quite a while ago, where we were talking about his role in CMC and how it's evolved over the past, would you say 26, 30 years in the space, Meinhard, to the point where now working with these ADCs at SOTIO, you're working in a very complex outsourced manufacturing environment. So I'm going to ask the question from a couple of different perspectives. I want Meinhard and Neeraj to sort of share some insight into your relationships with the outsourced manufacturing partners, and then maybe turn to Lena and get her perspective on her relationships with sponsor companies like SOTIO and Vera. So Meinhard, why don't I start with you? Tell us a little bit about, I guess the fundamentals of the relationship that you need to maintain with your outsourced manufacturing partners in order to sort of as a means to the ends that we've been discussing for the past 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah, I think, thanks for this question. So as I told you, I think in the past 6 years, since I'm at SOTIO, we completely outsource every type of work or CMC work. So we collected some experience here. And what I have seen when we go to CDMO selection, I think it's important to observe or to check the track record of a CDMO, how many projects he's running per year, and then how many different modalities he was able to have as successful projects, and also audits, how many audits he has, or positive audits he had. And I think important is also that with a CDMO, when we work with CDMOs, we want to have more or less a so-called one-stop shop. So this is for us important because we are quite set up quite lean. So with a few people only as a managing the CDMOs, and here one-stop shop in the ADC world is quite a complex CDMO that has to manufacture linker payloads, has to manufacture cell lines and maps, has to manufacture potentially enzymes that are required for the conjugation, and that have also to conduct this conjugation step, and finally even the ADC drug product filling. So this is where we currently look for. It's interesting to see that so far, I think only a few, maybe 3 CDMOs in the world can really fulfill this, let's say, this one-stop shop in the ADC world, but a lot of CDMOs are currently trying to fill the gaps, right? Because most of them can do part of it, but they try to fill the gaps here. And this is something where we have quite a detailed look on. And also important is, I think, also from the contract perspective, that you should have an eye or take your time for when negotiating some master service agreement or quality agreement, so that the whole relationship is then based on the good fundament in terms of the different responsibilities of the CDMO and also the sponsor as we are. And in addition, I mean, from process side, we also have to, of course, then to check if such a CDMO is able to run such toxic materials or processes. I think this is also something to be addressed early on. We had some issues with drug product fillers that they were concerned about high potent molecules, that they have then problems in their cleaning, validation, or changeover procedures. And they were then even asking us for molecule inactivation kinetics or inactivation data that they can then conduct their changeover at their site.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what also is important when you work with CDMO, that you always have to assure that on the raw material side, that raw materials are used that are really can be sourced globally, because we we still think, or we know that we will see quite some tech transfers in future from the development side and to the commercial side. And then it's always a pain if critical raw materials are not available or easy sourceable globally in the US, in Europe, and in Asia. And here you have, during the operation at the CDMO, really ensure that they take the correct raw materials where you definitely know that there is a global supply available.
Yeah.
So these are a few words on a few aspects on this CDMO part.
And I know that ADCs compared to fusion proteins, while Meinhard is perhaps conducting an orchestra, Neeraj, maybe you're conducting something more akin to a 5-piece band. It might not be quite as complex in terms of CDMO requirements. However, I'm sure you've got experiences in that realm as well. So what would you add to that conversation?
I think you're 100% right. ADCs is much more complex, and the toxicity considerations and high potency considerations, and yeah, that is quite a bit. What we're doing here with fusion proteins, it's still, these are complex molecules. We are kind of being a little bit selective. What we're trying to do is, when it comes to, let's take an example of early stage cell line development, not like one size fits all, right? I think we are being very selective to say, okay, what's the project I have? How do I manage it? So if I have a project that is very early stage, cell line development is a good example. There are a lot of good labs and a lot of good areas, and I don't have to, there is some level of tech transfer and all that stuff, but I don't have to stick to the CDMO that I would be manufacturing at, also using for cell line development. So we are kind of doing a little bit of divide and conquer, if you will, so that I can match the technical capabilities, and also some of the, there is a lot of things come up like IP terms. To Meinhard's point, I think, how do we set up the MSA? The IP terms is a good example, and also any other fees associated with it. So we kind of have a huge selection process, and we have really experts in the company to really kind of go after, okay, what's the right fit? And it might be a little bit more downstream work, but that's kind of how we are managing it. And some of the CDMOs, like business models, we work with some of the drug product manufacturers. Those are like fantastic in terms of manufacturing, but when it comes to development, they just don't have, the business model is not set up good. So I think trying to understand, we are really understanding some of the business models more carefully, and then being really selective about how do we go about developing.
Very good. Lena, I'm going to give you the final word, but I'm going to set a ground rule, because we don't often have representatives from the outsourced manufacturing community on our live events. So the ground rule is no sales pitch. No sales pitch. No sales pitch.
Okay, I would give no sales pitch.
So I would pose the question to you like this: if you could share something with sponsor executives like Meinhard and Neeraj that would make everyone's lives better in the CDMO sponsor relationship, or CDO sponsor relationship, what might that be?
Yeah. So I would say mostly everybody of us want to be finally focused on the molecule that are developed. So on the one hand, the sponsors want to have their molecule brought to the clinic. On the other hand, we as a CDMO want to help them by producing the molecule at the best way we could do. And I think I'm looking now more at the scientific perspective. So it's really important that you have a good communication already in the beginning with the CDMO. So the exchange already in the beginning. So mostly it starts with, most companies are sending out over RFPs with a lot of different questions and requests you have for your molecule. And already on that level, it's so important to add in information, what are capabilities, what are requirements, what are things which we can add as a CDMO. And like already stated, there are different business models of CDMOs. There are CDMOs having more platform processes available, which might be perhaps not fit to such a kind of complex product. You need to really show, okay, can I be capable to do that? So, for example, we are not a one-stop shop for ADC, so we cannot do that. But you need to be like really tell the truth about what you are able to do and what you are not able to do, and that will initially give also the best way to start such a kind of collaboration and such a kind of relationship. Because generally, for me, in person, it's finally a relationship between the sponsor and the CDMO. You need to work as a team. You need to do that together. The sponsor have the information how the protein acts and how the molecule acts finally, and that's so important to finally work as a team, exchange as much as material, be all the time in a direct communication and in a really good communication, and that, on my opinion, is the most important thing to have here.
Lovely. Great job avoiding commercialization of your response. I appreciate it. We are, Heather's giving me she's threatening to pull the cane out and pull me off stage. We're out of time, but I want to thank all three of you for being such great sports. We covered a lot of ground. We went forward, we went back, we went forward again. You did a great job with my questions. You did a great job with the audience questions. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope it was a good use of your time and fun, and you'll come back and join us again sometime.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you to our audience for joining us as well. I hope you got some value out of this. I want to remind you that in September 4th, my buddy Tyler Menichello is going to host another Bioprocess Online Live, 11 a.m. on the 4th of September. He'll be talking realistic usage of AI and ML in biomanufacturing on September 4th. So register for that, again, free of charge at bioprocessonline.com. Thank you to Thermo Fisher Scientific for sponsoring our event today. We'll see you in September. And in the meantime, have a great Thursday and a fantastic weekend.